Hey, happy Thursday, everybody. It's chamber check-in time, and welcome to another episode from your only five-star accredited chamber in the state of Idaho. And today I get the pleasure and honor of hearing from Alliance Title and Escrow's Senior Vice President and Area Manager, Ben Thomas. Hi, Ben.
Paul, good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. These chamber check-ins, Ben, they started during the pandemic as a way to check in with our members during the kind of the height of the stay-at-home order and check in with how businesses were doing, and most importantly, how their people were holding up. It was that was kind of the focus of this whole thing, and now it's morphed into, hey, let's learn more about our business members' origin stories, their products and services, and most importantly, the people. And so that's what I love doing, is learning and sharing about our member stories. So, and I want to help introduce you to the listeners. So Ben Thomas has a experience, and his experience in the industry has spanned over a 15-year career with Alliance Title and Escrow. And now he's the not recently appointed, but within the last 3 or 4 years as Senior Vice President and Area Manager. And we've been able to create a relationship over that time. And I love what you and your team are doing. And I'm actually a customer as well of Alliance Title, and have worked with you and do all the closings that my wife and I and our family have had with Alliance Title. And I've just loved the service. I've loved the people. And so I'm just honored to be able to help share the story today. So, Ben, with that, let's start with you. Help share a little bit about your background that led you into the title and escrow industry.
Sure. So my career started after I graduated from the University of Idaho in 2007, beginning of 2007. I had the chance to move to Idaho Falls and begin work in the title and escrow industry with AmeriTitle. So I spent my first 6 years with that organization, and chose Idaho Falls merely for the fact that I wanted to. I'd grown up in the Boise area and wanted to see something else and get away from, I could experience something new. And Idaho Falls and that operation with AmeriTitle provided an entry level kind of role to learn the industry and start from the ground up. So I moved out there not knowing a single person. It was the first night I was there. It was 20 degrees below zero with another 20-mile-an-hour wind chill. So I was wondering that first night what I was getting myself into. But I ended up really enjoying my time there. I started as a title officer in customer service and just learned the ins and outs of title, and enjoyed that aspect of things. And over time, working in, I guess, a smaller operation, there were probably 10 or so individuals in that office in Idaho Falls. And I got to experience everything, I could with the title side of things, working in conjunction with the escrow officers and the escrow team there, and eventually was able to progress into more of a business development role, and ended up being the assistant manager for those offices in Idaho Falls, Rigby, and Rexburg. During the time I left, it was about 5.5 years tenured there, and um, I really enjoyed my time, got some great experience there, and was following that, that 5.5 years, I was able to be promoted to the general manager position for AmeriTitle in McCall and Cascade in Valley County. That was during a time in 2012 when it was a rough time for the industry, particularly up there, and another new challenge for me to be able to go up and try to lead the operation that had always been very successful, but continue to provide some new ideas and learn from different people in a different market. And I had a great experience up there. During that time, when I was in McCall, AmeriTitle was purchased by Alliance Title and our parent company. I'll get into that in a little bit. And I'd always, moving to Idaho Falls and then McCall, I'd always wanted at some point, after spending some time away from the Boise area, having a bunch of friends here and coming back and visiting, always had wanted to try to find an opportunity to get back to the Boise Valley, though ideally with AmeriTitle or Alliance if that opportunity ever presented itself. And thankfully, Alliance was the route that got me back here. So I joined Alliance through a transfer opportunity in late 2013, and I've been in this market ever since.
Wow. You know, I just learned something new. I didn't know that you lived in Valley County. Did you live in McCall proper?
I lived in Donley.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's probably for another story. I'd love to hear some about
Yep.
that time. I love that area. Um, anyway, hey, that's a great story. I loved seeing and hearing how you started, and I love those ladders, building up the ladder. Right. I worked for Albertsons and worked up the ladder as well, and I think those are great stories because you don't start at the top. You got to start somewhere and then work your way up and learn and earn right that credibility over time. So congratulations in your role here locally, and welcome back to Boise. Um, let's start with the origin story of Alliance Title and Escrow, because I don't think people really truly know the breadth of services and offerings that Alliance has, and kind of its origin story. So help me share with the listeners Alliance and Title and Escrow's origin story.
Sure. So Alliance Title and Escrow Corp was it started in 1995, and it was the result of a merger of three different title companies, one up north, one in eastern Idaho, and then one in the Boise Valley. So those three companies came together to form Alliance Title and Escrow, and that was facilitated and kind of orchestrated, I guess, by Futura Corporation. And they were a local company, long time, through, Bob Hansberger and Boise Cascade had some initial influence there, and was able to be able to create Alliance Title and Escrow. So we've been in the Boise Valley since 1995, and have grown our presence throughout Idaho, a lot of the Pacific Northwest with the Alliance brand, in acquiring and building title plants in counties throughout Idaho and those other areas. So currently, Alliance itself has 30 counties that we operate in, 25 locations in Idaho. And again, build over time, and we had a lot of success, and we're able to, as I stated earlier, acquired AmeriTitle in 2013, which AmeriTitle had a presence of itself, primarily in Oregon, but they had a number of offices in Idaho as well. One of them in Idaho Falls, where I was at, and another in McCall and Cascade, obviously. So AmeriTitle had over 40 counties in Oregon, 60 plus counties total now between those two of the largest independent title agents in the Northwest became one. But the decision was made to keep the brand separate in order to kind of continue to have that branding and familiarity with the customer bases that they've established throughout those various markets. So right now, Alliance Title, AmeriTitle, and then there are a couple of other smaller, one county kind of operations that we have as well, operating in 5 states throughout the Pacific Northwest. Over 600 employees,
Wow.
Associates, and 60 plus offices, a very vast footprint under, again, a number of different brands, and we're staying aggressive in wanting to continue to find acquisition opportunities and grow wherever there are those chances. So,
wow, 1995. I did not know that. That's a rich history here in Idaho and in the Pacific Northwest. And 600 employees. Wow, that's awesome. That's quite the impact. Hey, there's a reason why you have 600 employees that you retain and you continue to grow. And I think that goes back to the credibility of leadership as well as your mission and vision. Maybe just explain a little bit about the mission and vision that you all have.
Yeah, I think our industry is a relationship-based business, and our mission as an organization throughout all of our brands, all of our companies, is to provide outstanding service during every transaction we have the opportunity to facilitate, and grow our following and our customer base through the service we're able to provide, and trying to be able to be one step ahead of our competition and create a lasting, memorable experience for someone's most important purchase in their life most times. So it's an important role in the real estate transaction, And we take pride in our work, our confidentiality, our professionalism, and the way we operate as an organization. So
I see that in every interaction that I have with you and your team, your escrow officers, your business development folks, and the way you actually give back to the community as well. And maybe let's just kind of segue into that. What are some of the things that that Alliance Title supports and is it passionate about in the communities that it serves?
Yeah, we have, throughout all of our markets, we have a number of different local community involvement efforts that, our different branches or individuals are part of. Our biggest campaign that we do throughout Alliance Title is our food drive we do annually, called the Closing the Hunger food gap, that benefits the Idaho Food Bank and other local food banks across Idaho. We've been doing that for a number of years now. And I think to date we've raised over 260,000 pounds of non-perishable food and over $350,000. So we're very passionate about that campaign and that effort. We look forward to having it's a month-long ordeal where we have, competitive competitions throughout all of our branches and other events and campaigns to try to raise as much money as possible. And it's fun. And it's nice to be able to write those checks and know that money is going towards a good cause. So that's our big one as a company, but we're involved in a number of other local organizations here through volunteering or, board service, the Boys and Girls Club, Idaho Youth Ranch, First Tee Idaho. I was a board member for a number of years there.
Cool.
BVEP. We've got a lot of presence throughout a number of organizations that we continue to try to do more of. So.
I love it. Hunger isn't something that's just during the holidays. So I like that you're talking about that here in the beginning of the year as well, because people need to eat all year round. Thanks for that support of the food banks and those other nonprofit organizations. Okay, Ben, let's talk a little bit about the market. Tell us if you have some type of a positive update. Tell us what's going on now.
Well, I'd say for a positive update, we're in Boise, and that's this valley's not going to change. It's going to continue to grow. I mean, it's a beautiful place to live, and people are still drawn to this area. I mean, we're obviously seeing challenges like the entire area of the nation is, and we can't control a lot of the factors at play. But we're lucky to have the area and the state that we live in, and in time. Things change, and we're excited to take advantage of. The last couple of years have been very busy for our industry, record years, obviously for real estate, and it was with COVID being factored in. It was a very challenging time. And so right now we do have some more time on hand to be able to cross train and focus on business development opportunities and making sure that we're dialed in to grow now and grow even more down the road. It's again, it's slower, but we understand that, and we're not the only ones that are experiencing that. I do think that there are some reasons to be optimistic, just with the the weather getting nicer, and we have to remind ourselves it's March. Normally our business is seasonal. Typically in the winter part of each year, it's not always as busy as it has been the last 3 years, and it's been a while since we've had to remind ourselves that it doesn't get busy. And when spring hits and the weather gets nice, you see more listings. So we're in a time of year where we're going to start hopefully seeing more activity. And we've got strong home builders here throughout the valley that are going to be growing our inventory ideally. And we've got a mortgage lending, is there's some competitive and good products out there for first-time buyers that they can take advantage of. So there are a lot of things to be positive about, I think. It's just an adjustment from where we've been over time.
help me understand a little bit more about the industry and the products offered and services that you offer. We're talking about real estate, and I would imagine that would include commercial, residential.
Yeah.
What other things does the title and escrow incorporate for serving the public?
Well, I mean, we're providing insurance when, to basically ensure someone's ownership. The two types of primary title and escrow insurance we issue is for owners when they buy a home or buy a piece of property, and then for a lender to insure their position on the property. So those are the most typical experiences that people are going to have with title and escrow insurance. And then more the escrow side is facilitating the transaction. So title is the insurance part, and the research side to be able to provide the peace of mind that that property is owned free and clear with the exceptions that we would note on our title policy. And then escrow is really going through and facilitating the transaction, clearing the items that we need to make sure things are transferred appropriately. We have some other smaller products for issues where we just people need property reports and just snapshot information on certain properties here and there. But most of the customers we're working with, the real estate agents, mortgage lenders, builders, attorneys that are involved in a real estate transaction, commercial or residential. I mean, we insure homes, we insure commercial projects, we insure solar farms, anything that has real estate related to it. So,
is there any land out there available left to buy?
There's a lot of land. It's I think it depends on the kind of land and the price that people are willing to pay right now. But right. There are opportunities and things are growing and hopefully continuing to move in a good direction.
So I would imagine your territory is the entire state and everywhere you have a branch, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So my offices and region that I manage are Ada, Canyon, Elmore, and Gem counties. So those are where our offices are. But we do have title plants and can insure pretty much all of the counties in the surrounding southwestern part of Idaho. So if someone was buying a property in Owyhee County or in Boise County or Valley County where we don't have an office, we can still do the title work and escrow work here from one of our locations in Boise or other offices throughout Idaho. So we're doing transactions throughout the state.
Awesome. Okay. Hey, I have the website scrolling on the bottom of the screen if everybody wants to learn more. You guys have built out a great website with lots of information and lots of tabs. Go meet your business development folks and see some of the products and services that are offered. Is there anything else while I have you today, Ben, that you want to educate the listeners on?
I think I'll conclude just by thanking you, Paul, and thanking the Chamber. You're an outstanding partner for us, and we've been an honor to be a great supporter and participant with the events and the different opportunities that you provide to bring businesses together and help our Valley continue to succeed. So think highly of you and what the Chamber does for this Valley.
Well, Ben, right back at you. We're not a city funded organization. We're not a federally funded organization. People often confuse us that we are, and we are funded by the private sector. Our businesses fuel our programs and services that aim to enhance this place we live, work, and play in. So it's leaders like you, Ben, that help us steer our ship as well for advocacy. And thanks again for your time to help share a little bit more about Alliance Title and Escrow and a little bit about your background. I had a great time today. Thanks, Ben.
I did too. Thanks, Paul.